How's everybody doing today? Long time no see. I haven't made a video in quite a while. A lot of personal reasons, a lot of other reasons. The main reason being, didn't have a lot to talk about. I was doing a dedicated route every day. Did that for almost 2 years, and I had a lot of thoughts that I probably could have talked about. Looking back, I probably should have. But I ended up quitting that job. That'll probably be another video. Lord, that trailer driving by is bright. Shoo. Sunny here in right outside Baltimore, Maryland today. But at the famous pay for parking TA here in Jessup, Maryland. I hate this place. But anyways, no, I hadn't had a lot to talk about because I've been basically just doing the same thing every day. And like I said, I had plenty of thoughts, just never seemed like they would have made sense to a lot of people. But as I was sitting here today, I realized, you know what, I'm back over the road now. I'm working with a new company. That company will be talked about in another video. I'm actually looking forward to it because I've been here now for almost a month. It'll be a month at the end of this week coming up, and best money I've ever made by far, not even close. And that's the whole point of driving a truck, is making money, obviously, because we enjoy it, because we get stuck in a lifestyle, not just the money, but money is the important thing. If you're not making money, you can't support your family, yada yada yada. I'm not getting into that right now either. We get to the bulk of what this video is about. This video is actually going to be focused more towards the normal person that doesn't know much about truck driving. And the reason is because on my way here today, I realized that a lot of these people driving cars around don't understand, first of all, that if you see a truck driving down the road, he's not just driving down the road like you are. That is his job. I know you think you understand that, but you don't. He is literally at work while he's driving down the road. And there's a few things that go along with understanding that. We cannot abide by the same rules as you do. I know that some of you understand that, but even while we're driving down the road, our minds as truck drivers are in thousands of different places at once. First and foremost, obviously, is safety. Being safe on the road, keeping everybody safe, doing what we think is right in crucial situations, which I had a few of those on the way here, and that's what made me think about this. And at first I was blaming them. A little bit of road rage hit me. I'm sure people driving by could see it because I was, that happens. Sometimes you just gotta let it out. I mean, we're in this truck by ourselves. It's not like people are gonna hear us screaming driving down the road anyways. And the fact is, unless you're driving a large car that's ungoverned, most of these cars are in and out of your life in just a few seconds, so it's not like you can prove a point to them even if you wanted to. You're not going to catch up to a car, no matter how crappy it is. It's just most likely not going to happen. But the real point of this is trying to understand that while we're at our job, we have to abide by rules and regulations that normal cars don't. I know some people understand that. But it's also important to understand that we are actually counting down our hours. And that's important for cars to understand, because we can't just drive all the time. We can't just decide. A normal person can just jump in their car, drive wherever they want to, whenever they want to. Wherever, whenever. We can't do that. We are regulated under hours of service. And I want to break that down and try to help people understand what we're dealing with when we're driving. Because you also have to understand, it's not like we are guaranteed a spot to stop when we want to stop. If you want to stop in a parking lot, there's no rules keeping you from it. Unless there's a no loitering sign or something like that, then yeah, maybe. But the fact is, first off, we got to find a place we can fit. And half the places we can fit don't want trucks parking there for 10 plus hours, which I'll get to that later as to why it's 10 hours. So, truck parking is obviously one of the first places we got to try and think about before we even leave for the day. We already have to have planned out, like, I need to try and make it here. Hopefully by this time, so that it's not full already, because trucks park overnight and fill it up quick after about 5 o'clock. You start looking at your clock like, oh, Lord, I hope there's a spot open for me when I get there. Before we even start our day in the morning, we have to prepare ourselves to try and make it to a certain spot. So for one reason, that's why you'll see us get very frustrated at cars who cause us problems on the road. If you're brake checking us, if you're messing with us, stuff like that, it literally has almost nothing to do with you. It has more to do with, this is just slowing down my day and keeping me from getting to where I need to get to. Not even about making it to a delivery or a shipper. It's about just finding a place to park so that we can go to sleep and then get up and do it the next day. And so we have to do it, and we can't just keep going because we're, haven't made it there. But no, if our hours run out, we're done. It's against the law for us to continue driving. So let me break down these hours real quick, and maybe you can try to understand why truck drivers have to continue to process where they're at, how they're doing, and where they're going to get to, and why we get very frustrated at cars who give us issues when we're trying to get there. Traffic's traffic. You're in a big city, major city, there's always traffic. But you can, as a car, help us out by whether we need to get over, to get around a car, or to get around a wreck, or whatever that is, or, there's another story there I just thought about. I got a ton of stories. Now, ever since I've been back out on the road, all this kind of stuff's been hitting me again. It's like, I forgot. Cars don't care about truck drivers. I forgot about that. I've been so used to doing the same thing every day, and I knew where to go, because I did it every day. I knew which lane to get into, what time of day, what to expect. Now everything's so different because I'm in different places all the time. I forgot, that's right, there's no respect for, truck drivers out here. So you got to kind of make your own way. But hopefully, maybe this video will help some people understand. So the first rule for your hours of service for a truck driver, this is for the normal person that does not know much about trucking. This is what this video is for. It's not for truck drivers. So if you're a truck driver, this is going to be boring for you. You already know these. If you don't, I got some bad news for you. You're breaking the law. But anyways, first rule number 1 is you have 14 hours of on-duty time per day. That means that when you wake up, it's not like as soon as you wake up. It means that once you're ready to start going, first off, you're supposed to do a pre-trip before you leave. I hate to say this, because I am a truck driver. I do my pre-trips. I'm not just saying that, I actually do. Mainly because I pay for my truck. I'm going to own my truck one day. Hopefully within the next couple of years. I want to make sure it's running as good as it can. I actually do my pre-trips. Checking tire pressures, checking oil, checking all the stuff I can. Everything I can. Sitting in these truck parking lots, it's pretty rare to see a truck driver open up their hood to look at stuff, and that's very disappointing to me. Now, a lot of these drivers are just company drivers and they don't care, but the fact is, you get on these roads and a tire pops or something like that, you can kill somebody. I know, tire blowing, how can I kill somebody? It can happen. This rubber on these tires are very heavy. If you've ever hit one on the road before, you probably lost a tire or a bumper because, yeah, they're thick. And if they get to bouncing, they can bounce up in somebody's windshield, and you're in a lot of trouble for that. But anyways, you have to go, and any truck now, 99% of these trucks have the electronic logs in it. It's down here. I'm not going to show you right now, but this is, actually I could actually show you now. Maybe another video. But Qualcomm is what it's called. That's what mine's called. And it has all my hours of service. It actually does most of the hours for me and stuff. I just have to click on duty, off duty, sleeper bird, all that kind of stuff. It automatically kicks me into driving if I start driving. Everything else I gotta manually put in. But anyways, to do a pre-trip, you normally want to show about 10 minutes of a pre-trip. Well, to do that, you go into the Qualcomm and you have to go to on duty, not driving. Once you do that, you do your pre-trip, normally about 10 minutes, do your vehicle inspection report, and then you're ready to go. And as soon as you start driving, it'll go from on duty to driving. It'll go from on duty, not driving, to driving. Now, you could just stay on duty without driving at all for 14 hours. I don't know why you would. I'm just saying that you can. You can stay on duty for 14 hours during a day. Now, after 14 hours, you have to go off duty or in the sleeper berth for your break. Period. There is no exception to that. But for your driving, you are not allowed to drive for 14 hours. This is the thing that blows my mind. I wish they would just match the two, or at least give us a 12-hour driving day. But they don't. We have an 11-hour driving day. And what that means is, once our on-duty time starts, you can't just stop it. Let's say you start your on-duty time at 6 o'clock in the morning. That means by 8 o'clock that night, you have got to be stopped no matter what you do during that 14 hours. If you just hit on duty and then go off duty, if you take another 10-hour break off duty, it'll reset everything. But if you don't, 14 hours all you got, and you got to stop, and you have to go off duty for at least 10 to get that time back. But during that 14 hours, you are allowed to drive 11 hours. So in other words, if you start at 6 o'clock in the morning, you have until 8 o'clock that night to drive 11 hours. So they're giving you 3 hours extra to do your pre-trip, your post-trip after you stop, your fueling. You're supposed to be on duty when we do our fueling, and believe it or not, fueling can take 10 to 15 minutes. It's not like a 20-gallon gas tank. You know, I have a 100-gallon gas fuel tank on this side, 90-gallon on that side, plus I have a DEF tank, which we're not going mechanics right now. It's another system that we have to keep up. It's for the emissions and everything, and that's another 12 to 14 gallons. So yeah, there's a lot of fueling involved, but all that has to be on duty as well. So you got 14 hours, you have 11 hours worth of driving you're allowed to do. On average, once again, this is just a typical truck. I'm not talking about the super truckers out there that can average, 80 miles an hour for 11 hours. I'm talking about the typical person. The way that shippers and receivers calculate our trips is typically by either 50 miles per hour or 55 miles per hour, because you have to calculate for slowdowns, traffic, accidents, all that kind of stuff. Typically it's 50. I go in the middle, because I normally run around 60 to 65 to save on my fuel, because I pay for my own fuel. Right now fuel prices are so ridiculous that I want to try and keep my miles per gallon as high as I can. So I try and average that I say I do about 55 miles per hour. About 55 miles per hour. So you times that by 11, that's 605 miles a day. The problem with that is you're not going to get to the T 11 hours of driving, because I very seriously doubt that you're going to be able to start your day and finish your day on the dot at a place to park. That never happens. Typically you're stopping anywhere from 15 minutes early to an hour and a half early, just depending on where you're going and finding parking, which is what I mentioned earlier. You have to know, like, if I'm going into New York City, first off, I don't deliver in New York City, but even if I have to go through it or around it or anything, and I know that I'm not going to be able to make it all the way through before my time runs out, guess what? I'm stopping early, because I ain't going to get stuck on the side of the interstate and anywhere near New York City and a few other places too. I don't want to be stuck on the side of the road at all. But it happens sometimes because you can't help it. But my point is, you're never going to get 11 hours of driving a day. It's normally going to be somewhere between 10 and 11. 9.5 to 11 really be a better number. And because of that, that's another reason why it really upsets truck drivers when we get slowed down by cars. Because that might seem like a lot of miles to do in a day. And for a normal person, it is. I've been at jobs where I've done over 1,000 miles in a day. Imagine, it might not have been legal. It might have been legal. I'm not saying either way. But my point is, 600 miles in a day really is just kind of okay for us. I want to be somewhere in the 550 range every day, 6 days a week, because I don't run a 7. We'll talk about that another day. But I want to be somewhere in the 550 to 600 range. That is where I make decent money, and especially if I'm keeping my fuel prices down. So for me to get 550 to 600 miles a day, I got to average that 55 to 60 miles per hour. If I'm not hitting that, then that costs me money because I'm not getting that mileage that I need. I'm also having trouble getting to the parking I need to get to for that night. A lot goes into what you're doing when you're slowing down a truck. It's not just a, hey, stuff happens. No. It takes us longer to get going again. It takes us longer to get to where we need to get to. It's a headache. So anyways, you have 11 hours to drive within a 14-hour period. Now, after that 14-hour period is done, you have to take a 10-hour break. Typically in the sleeper berth, whatever you're doing, you can't be driving or working on the truck, technically. DOT officers, for the most part, will not get mad at you for fixing a light or something on your off-duty time. But if you're, seriously working on the truck and they see you doing that and you're supposed to be off-duty, they will have an issue with it. I've seen that happen. But for the most part, you finish your day, you stop, you do your post-trip, about 10 minutes, you go off-duty, or you put yourself in the sleeper berth, whichever. It really doesn't matter which one of those you use. They want you to be more accurate. If you're going to be sleeping, they want you to say sleeper berth. If you're just off duty, that typically means you're supposed to be away from the truck and out and about doing stuff. But whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as you're on one of those, they're okay with it. But you have to do that for 10 hours. And then once you are done with your 10-hour break, you're good to go again the next day for your 14 hours. You have to take 10 hours to the dot, to the second. Not a second sooner. If you do, you'll be in violation. And then you'll have to take another 10-hour break. Rookie's mistake. Trust me, I've done it. So then that is your day. That is a day log for a truck. Alright? 14 hours on duty, 11 hours driving during that time, and then a 10-hour break. 14 and 10 equals 24. You get the picture. The interesting thing for me is also there is a weekly limit on trucks, and this is where it is even more important that we don't get slowed down too much, especially throughout the week. We are only allowed 70 hours of on-duty time throughout the whole week. So that means you're only allowed to really average 10 hours of on-duty time if you do it 7 days a week. So you're not even truly allowed to run that whole 14 on-duty time. Once again, slowing a truck down costs us. The only way to get around that is to shorten your week. So for me right now, I'm on what's called a 34-hour restart. And what that means is that I literally have to sit here off-duty for 34 hours. And then I get a complete new 70-hour clock to run next week. And I get it down to within hours. By Saturday night, I'm always within 5 hours, typically within 2 to 3 hours of being past my 70 for the week. And then I have to stop, take another 34 to redo it. Once again, another reason why slowing down a truck, it's not only costing us for the day, it's costing us for the week, ultimately costing us money. and causing us issues with shippers and receivers. You know, if we're running late or whatever the case might be, sometimes there's very little time allowed on these loads. And you're going through some of these major cities, especially that I-95 metropolis from Washington, D.C. up to Boston. Good luck. You know, I mean, there's a lot of issues with that. So, just some things to think about the next time you see a trucker on the road. You know, give him a little bit of space. Not all truckers are nice guys, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of buttholes out here on the road. But I think attitudes would change a lot if we started feeling like people understood what we had to go through just to get through our day. You have to think, let's say you live in Indianapolis, Indiana. A truck driver that's driving next to you might have started his day in Georgia. And he's just trying to get to his truck stop to get some sleep. Just be a little bit more mindful. Once again, it's not always the car's fault. I get that. But the fact is, cars could do a little bit more with understanding what trucks are going through, so they can say, okay, you know what? Let me just give him some space, not cut him off to get off on my exit. Think a little bit ahead, realize that, you know what, he deals with a lot, and I'm only on the road for 20 miles at most on average. He's doing it all day long for 600. Maybe he knows a little bit more about driving than I do. And maybe I shouldn't be as mad at him for doing what he's doing and watch what I do a little bit more. Believe me, this is a lot calmer video than what I was going to post yesterday, because a lot of stuff upset me so bad yesterday with the way I was getting treated on the road. But I want it to be clear-headed, write some things down, have some notes, that's what I'm looking at here, and just try to be a little bit more educational than just upset about things. So yeah, that's my first video back. I'm probably going to try and make 1 or 2 a week, depending on the content I can have. Like I said, I want to talk about the company I'm with, some of the things I've seen since I've been here. Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty cool again. I'm also going to get into editing my videos instead of just me sitting here talking like I did this whole video. Once I get things I need to get to do that, and get some better understanding. I am not technically inclined. I'm the worst millennial when it comes to technical stuff. The fact that I can hit record on this is doing pretty good for me. But I'm going to work on it, and I want to add in some pictures and videos and things like that to make it more interesting. A little bit educational, a little bit fun, and a little bit of just kind of showing off. Like, not like egotistical, just showing things off, you know. Seeing different places, that kind of thing. So hopefully you subscribe and like the videos, and please share this, because I would really appreciate it if people just understood a little bit more of what this side is like and what we have to deal with. Not as angry, but just as a better understanding. So thank you all. Hope you have a great day on this beautiful Sunday. At least it is here in Maryland. And have a great week.